Are you, like me, sick of hearing people say, well, I only eat meat from local farms? Well, I think it's more sustainable to eat local food. If yes, this video is for you. Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Seb. I upload animal rights and veganism related videos every single week on this channel. If you are new here, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you can stay up to date with all the videos I'm uploading, and also check me out on other social media platforms if you're using them. I also want to say that my free ebook, When Animal Rights and Logic Meet, is available now in 20 languages up on my website. You can download it for free and enjoy and get the most out of it. It really helps you have easier conversations with people, with loved ones, with friends, about why you're vegan, and also detect the logical fallacies that they are using in their arguments against veganism. So that being said, let's get to this topic, because I'm honestly so sick of hearing this. People say this as if it's in any way a justification to continue killing animals. I want to make one thing clear. No matter what I say in this video, this is not in order to make the case for animal rights stronger. It doesn't enforce the argument of animal rights. It's just an extra. And we are very happy that it's an extra when it comes to sustainability and health. We get more out of plant-exclusive diets, but people are making these mistakes, and I thought, why not look at the science and see what the science says, because that's what we should follow. The number one thing that I think about when someone says, well, I only eat from local farms, is in what way does that even justify what you're doing to local animals? Are we supposed to think like, oh, if your victims are from your neighborhood, suddenly it's justified what you're doing? Second of all, I think, well, what if your local farm is a factory farm? What makes you think that the word local actually means it's a small farm where all the animals are happy, and a slaughterhouse where the animals are deciding to die in order to sacrifice their life and their body for you to use, when you can just actually choose to eat a plant-exclusive diet, something that is already confirmed by scientific studies to be nutritionally adequate for people of all stages of life. Now, the number one thing I want to look at is this graph that I found on the website Our World in Data. For those of you who don't know, it's an absolutely amazing website. It's provided by the University of Oxford, and obviously all the numbers that they use come from really reliable studies. And this graph is called Food Greenhouse Gas Emissions Across the Supply Chain. And when we look at the numbers, we realize that obviously the top most polluting and greenhouse gas emitting foods are actually the foods that come from the animal agriculture industry. However, it's really interesting to realize that they have separated each impact of each product so that you see the number of greenhouse gas emissions per process. Okay, so for example, if we take the first one, we can see that the majority of the emissions comes from the farming part. Okay, and we're going to realize obviously that the majority of these foods have the majority of their emissions coming from the farming. Of course, sometimes we realize that the land use change is also high, but farming is what we want to look at. Now, when it comes to animal feed, we can also see something that you do not see with vegan foods, because the plant-based diet does not involve animal feed to feed animals that you are later on killing so that you can eat them. But the most important part is transport. And this is what I want you to look at. Where you're eating your meat from is irrelevant, okay? Look at the percentage. What you're eating matters so much more than where that food comes from. Now, obviously, if you can get something locally, it's better, but it's not in any way more sustainable than a plant-exclusive diet. And it's really interesting because people say this as a reply to this idea that they bring on a table, like, you're eating quinoa from South and Central America, or you're eating avocados from Mexico, or almonds from California, and they're shipped all around the world. And they talk about this transportation, and they're like, I'm eating the cow from my local butcher. It's like, yeah, how much is transport playing a part in this? Close to nothing. It's a part of the emission that's probably the least relevant in these food groups. These numbers come from a 2018 study, but there's obviously more to that. There's more science behind this. This study, Food Miles and the Relative Climate Impacts of Food Choices in the United States, in the conclusion says transportation as a whole represents only 11% of life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. And the final delivery from producer to retail contributes to only 4%. So we're talking about 4% and 11% of each food's greenhouse gas emissions. Why do you think that somehow it's more sustainable for you to eat meat from a local butcher than to eat plants that are imported? And let's face it, a plant-exclusive diet doesn't always rely on imported plants, unless if you live in the middle of nowhere, in which case it would still be more sustainable for you to import food. Let's also remind ourselves, sustainability is not there in order to make the animal rights message stronger. The ethical case for animal rights is strong by itself and doesn't need this kind of things to back it up. But if people are going to make these ridiculous claims as if what they're doing is somehow more ethical or more sustainable or even more healthy, surprise, surprise, science is not on your side. So that's it for today's video. I know it's a short video, but I wanted to share this because I see a lot of people mentioning this. Oh, I only eat local food. I only eat from local slaughterhouses or farms. It's not more ethical. It's not more sustainable. And that's not my opinion. That's the science. If you have any problems with that, you can reach out to these websites and the people who have done these studies and argue with them. That being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you appreciate it. If I could ask you one thing, it would be to share this video on your social media platforms or send it to a friend. Maybe just one friend is enough, someone who has mentioned this argument, and see how they would react and what they would say about the science and the numbers that we have from these studies. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification button. I would really appreciate that. If you would like to support both my online and offline work with animal rights, including these videos, please check out my website sebalex.org. And while you're there, also grab yourself a copy of the free ebook. Major shout out to my patrons. Thank you again for another month of support, and I'll see you in the next video.